I said that the next TBR would be from my new home, but I decided, why not record it now? One last thing, book backdrop, book chaos backdrop, and just record it, get it up there, and let it go. And this will also help to fill the box of my July TBR that I want to make sure that I keep accessible and at the ready. I'm going to put all my August reads in there too and just not have to worry about it. So without further ado, let's just dive into them. I'm going to tell you the ones that I'm definitely reading in August first. So, I don't know if I'll read them first, but first I will tell you the ones I will definitely read in August. So my Agatha Christie for that month is The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side. I know that there are some really exciting film versions of this one, and I'd like to watch several of them. But first I will read it. I really don't know the story, but I'm looking forward to it. I just feel like Agatha Christie gets better and better with every book I read. So reading Miss Marple this year has been such a good choice for me. My reread I'm really excited about. My reread is The History of Love by Nicole Krauss. I read this, I want to say, almost 10 years ago, once, loved it, added it to my list of favorite novels of all time, and promptly never read it again. I can tell you what the themes are, but the actual storyline, I've lost it after all these years. So I'm really looking forward to reacquainting myself with that one. Shakespeare for the month is As You Like It. This is one of those that I never know if I like it or not. I don't know if you can hear the washing machine, but if you hear a banging, that's what's happening in the background back there. As You Like It. This is one of those that I never know if I enjoy it or not. So I am a little trepidatious about this one. I don't know if I'm going to have the patience for Shakespeare in the middle of a move, but we'll see. We'll see. The patience for a Shakespeare that I don't love. So we'll see. Bean's big book bash pick will be Raj by Geeta Mehta. This is a shorter one. This is actually under 500 pages, but here at Bean's Big Book Bash, we are very inclusive of all sizes of books. So I am including it because I think that it's going to be a tough one. I have read Geeta Mehta before. Geeta has some connections, I'll be them loose, to the school that I worked at in northern India, and so I have actually taught one of Geeta Mehta's books before, and I find them to be very, very dense. Raj has always been on my list of books to read, and I thought that in a year when I chose to read MMK, it would be appropriate to also read an Own Voices, Own Culture book in the same year. I have been reading the books for Bean's Big Book Bash in publication order, starting from oldest to newest. And so it took a couple of months out from the Far Pavilions to get to Raj, but that was my intention. Again, it is a little bit shorter. It's under 500 pages, not much under, but it is under 500 pages. And I still think it's going to take a lot of time. I still think it's going to be pretty dense. If you've never read Geeta Mehta before, I highly suggest it. I don't know if I suggest Raj in particular, but we can talk about that later. Now, I have several birthday haul books that I'd like to get to. One is The Summer Before the War, a novel by Helen Simonson. I've already read Helen Simonson's other book this year. That was Mr. Pettigrew Lives for a Day. No, that's Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day. Mr. Pettigrew's Last Stand. Whoops. It's kind of like He Lives for a Day. Mr. Pettigrew's Last Stand, which was phenomenal, about a British retired military man who falls in love with a Pakistani shopkeeper and the difficulties that come with that because of culture, and loved it. So I am now going to read The Summer Before the War, which I think takes place in 1914 in Sussex. I don't know anything else about it. I love the cover. I know now that I love this author's writing, so I'm even more excited about this one. This one I want to get to, but this is my true chunker. This is my Bean's Big Book Bash under the radar pick. But I'm going to read this one. This is one that I got for my birthday book haul. This is Ben Hopkins' Cathedral, a novel. I'm going to listen to it though. I do have it, and when I can, I will read along. The letters are pretty big in here and stuff. It's long, but I don't think it's going to be overwhelming. I'm going to mostly listen to this though, and I think this is going to be my unpacking book. Like while I'm unpacking, this is going to be my best friend. And then I've got The Secret World of Weather, which was actually a Christmas gift, not a birthday book haul, but I would like to get to this one. I think summer would be a great time to just be able to dip in and out of that one at will. And finally, I have short stories, and I think I've put this one on my August list because of the guilt of not knowing if I'm going to actually get to As You Like It. But this is That Way Madness Lies, Shakespeare's most notable works, reimagined by Dahlia Adler. This is a collection of YA short stories that retell some of Shakespeare's plays. So those are the books that I will definitely get to this month. In August. It's not August yet here, but when you're watching this, it will be almost August. Now I have 2 graphic novels that I pulled off my shelf and a small stack of manga that I have been collecting that I would like to read in August. I think that they will just be perfect for the month of August and a move. The first one actually isn't a manga, but I thought it was. I know it has a manga, but I happened to get like a little novelization instead, and I'm cool with that. It has illustrations. It's not going to be a big deal. I got it because I liked the cover of this one better than the cover of the actual manga, but didn't really look into it, didn't realize what I was doing. But I'm going to count it as a manga, and I'm cool with that. And that is, if it's for my daughter, I'd even defeat a demon lord. That sounds so much fun, and I love that title. It says, Dale's an adventurer who can fight the demon lords, but can he handle an adorable devil girl he rescues in the woods? That sounds super fun. And then I have The Ancient Magus Bride, Volume 1. It says, Enter the Magician's Apprentice. Her name is Chise, I think. Hattori, a penniless orphan troubled by visions, sold as a slave to an inhuman mage. She is about to begin a strange new life filled with magic, fairies, and other beings of a fantastical nature. So that sounds fun. And then, of course, everybody's been talking about this one. This is my most recent purchase. Take a moment and make a guess. What do you think it is? That's right. Spy Family, or Spy X Family. I'm not sure. Everybody knows what this one is about. Master Spy Twilight is unparalleled when it comes to going undercover on dangerous missions for the betterment of the world, but when he receives the ultimate assignment to get married and have a kid, he may finally be in over his head. So he gets a wife who is what? I don't remember what his wife is. An assassin. His wife is an assassin, and he gets a child that is a telepath, so the child can understand all of their thoughts. Sounds super fun. And then, I got Dreamin' Sun, because this is by the same author as Orange. And I did enjoy Orange, but I found the time travel aspect of the letters and things to be a little bit confusing. And so I'm hoping that this one, which is more of a just a contemporary without any kind of, like magic or magical realism, I might enjoy better from that particular author. So this one is a heartfelt comedy from the creator of Orange. It says right on the back. Shimane Kameko, I'm so sorry, feels out of place in her own home. Her mother is dead. Her father and stepmom only seem to care about Kameko's 6-month-old baby brother. When Kameko decides to skip school and run away to a nearby park, she stumbles upon a mysterious man in a kimono. Oh, so maybe there is some magic or something. I'm going to stop reading there. There's a lot more on the back, but I'm going to stop there. Sounds fun. And then this one I just think is so beautiful, and I hope I love it because I want to own them all. And that is Witch Hat Atelier. And this one says, the magical adventure that shook Japan by storm is finally here. Meet young Coco, curious and bright and desperate to learn how magic's wrought, but witches keep their secrets hidden tight, and witches, Coco knows, are born, not taught. And it goes on from there, but this sounds just so much fun. I'm getting Kiki's Delivery Service vibes off of it. And so I really hope that I love this because I also just love this book. Then I have 2 graphic novels that I pulled off of my shelf that I've had for a while now. One is just so beautiful, Bronte inspired, Glass Town, The Imaginary World of the Brontes by Isabel Greenberg. The cover is beautiful, but also the actual naked hardback is just so gorgeous, and the end papers are beautiful. I'm really looking forward to this one. This is, I think, about the Brontes, but also about the world that they created in their juvenilia. So I know that I will love that, and I will get to that. And then I have this one, which is Above the Timberline, a novel by Gregory Manchess. This is not quite a novel. It's not quite a graphic novel. If I open it, I see that it is a highly illustrated single story, kind of a picture book for adults. And it says, a city buried under the ice, an obsessed explorer lost in the frozen waste, a son searching for his father alone above the timberline. Gale Singleton, the most renowned explorer of the Polaris Geographic Society, is lost in the frozen waste. His estranged son, Wes, is determined to find his father. After receiving an encrypted note 6 months after Galen was last heard from, when his airship, Indomitable, was lost. But there are others who care only about what Galen or Wes, if he finds his father, has discovered, and they will take any action necessary to ensure Galen and Wes don't escape the waste alive. So it's this amazing fantasy adventure novel, which is highly illustrated with these gorgeous illustrations. It is essentially a picture book for adults, and I am really excited about diving into that. I also think that reading something that is not Christmassy or necessarily winter related, but that is very cold during the summer is something I really enjoy. So I'm looking forward to that. Then I have those 3 nonfiction that I would like to read. The first one I think is just going to be consumable for me. Like, I think I'm just going to scoop it up. This is True Crime Addict, How I Lost Myself in the Mysterious Disappearance of Maura Murray by James Renner. It says, when an 11-year-old James Renner fell in love with Amy Mihalejevic. Sorry about these names. The missing girl seen on posters all over his neighborhood. It was the beginning of a lifelong obsession with true crime. That obsession led James to a successful career as an investigative journalist, and it also gave him PTSD. And it goes on from there. So this is his memoir of being a true crime addict. Then we have one that a lot of people have read, but that I would also like to read, and that is Unfollow, a memoir of loving and leaving extremism by Megan Phelps Roper. This is a book by a former member of the Westboro Baptist Church, and I am always into reading about people who have been enmeshed in that kind of exclusive and aggressive community and then gotten out of it. I like to see how their perspective on the world changes. And I also like to remind myself that those people who believe so differently from me are people. And these kinds of books help me do that. So I'm looking forward to reading that. And then this other one is maybe not the kind of book you would think you'd see on a summer reading list, but for me, this is that book that I want to follow my curiosity about, and that is The Wisdom of the Beguines, a forgotten story of a medieval woman's movement by Laura Swan. The Beguines were a non-religious order of women who lived in Belgium, I believe, but maybe also France, and who had a communal lifestyle, but were non-religious. So I am curious about what they believed, and I am curious about their lifestyle, and I am curious about how they keep things together without a common deity or scripture to guide them. And so, yes, I am curious So I'm going to read that one. It's also very short and I think highly readable. I looked at the first couple of pages. What sparked that was that I watched a YouTube video about Belgium online one day when I was thinking like, I really wish I were traveling somewhere. And they were mentioned and I was like, ooh, I need to know more about them. So I ordered a book and now I want to read the book. Thus, it's on my August TBR. Now I have just 11 books, some of which I will get to and some of which I will not, but they are books that I'm going to keep available because they feel summery and they feel like things that are appealing to me right now. Who knows what will be appealing to me in August? Who knows what I'm going to also stuff into this box of books that I will keep accessible when I start to take things off this shelf? Who knows? But right now, this is my best guess of the books that I'm going to reach for in August. So first I have The Forever Sea by Joshua Philip Johnson. And this one says, on a never-ending, miles-high expanse of prairie grasses known as the Forever Sea, Kindred Greyreach, Heathfire keeper and sailor aboard harvesting vessel The Errant, is just beginning to fit in with the crew of her new ship when she receives devastating news. Her grandmother, the Marchess, legendary captain and hearthfire keeper, has stepped from her vessel and disappeared into the sea. But the note she leaves Kindred suggests this was not an act of suicide. Something waits in the depths, and the Marchess has set out to find it. To follow in her grandmother's footsteps, Kindred must embroil herself in conflicts bigger than she could imagine. A water war simmering below the surface of two cultures, the politics of a mythic pirate city floating beyond the edges of safe seas, battles against beasts of the deep driven to the brink of madness, and the elusive promise of a world below the waves. But I think that the sea is the prairie. I don't know. It's a gorgeous cover. It's an enticing synopsis, and it's an adventure novel, and I think it sounds so summery, and I'm going for it. This is one that I started a long time ago for a Read Harder challenge, I think in maybe 2016, 2017, and never finished. But I would like to finish it. This is Jordy Rosenberg's Confessions of the Fox. And this is a kind of Dickensian sort of feeling story set in the 1800s, I think the 1830s. And it says, Jack Sheppard and Edgeworth Bess were the most notorious thieves, jailbreakers, and lovers of 18th century London. So it's older than that. Yet no one knows the true story. Their confessions have never been found. Until now, reeling from heartbreak, a scholar named Dr. Voth, oh, that's right, this is, okay, it's coming back to me. A scholar named Dr. Voth discovers a long-lost manuscript, a gender-defying expose of Jack and Bess's adventures. Is Confessions of the Fox an authentic autobiography or a hoax? As Dr. Voth is drawn deeper into Jack and Bess's tale of underworld resistance and gender transformation, it becomes clear that their fates are intertwined and only a miracle will save them all. That's right. I forgot about that. Okay. Yeah, so there's this manuscript that's found. Yeah, I don't remember why I stopped reading it. Because even right now, it sounds very enticing to me. I don't remember why I stopped reading it. Maybe starting to reread it will remind me. I know that I was reading a library copy before. I've never read this copy. I had a library copy. Maybe I just had to return it to the library and I forgot to re-get it or something. I don't know. Then I have The Authenticity Project by Claire Pooley. And this one says, the story of a solitary green notebook that brings together 6 strangers and leads to unexpected friendship and even love. Julian Jessup, an eccentric lonely artist and septuagenarian, believes that most people aren't really honest with each other, but what if they were? And so he writes, in a plain green journal, the truth about his own life, and leaves it in his local cafe. It's run by the incredibly tidy and efficient Monica, who furtively adds her own entry and leaves the book on the wine bar across the street. Before long, the others who find the green notebook add the truths of their own deepest selves and soon find each other at Monica's cafe. The Authenticity Project is by turns quirky and funny, heartbreakingly sad, and painfully true to life. It's a story about being brave and putting your real self forward and finding out that it's not as scary as it seems. In fact, it looks a lot like Happiness. That sounds wonderful to me. So I will finally read that. This one is my newest addition to my, or not my newest addition to my TBR, but the newest addition to my TBR that I pulled to read in August. And that is The 1,000 Crimes of Ming Tzu by Tom Lin. And once again, this is an adventure novel. It is also, I think, kind of a Western. It says, an astounding debut that reimagines the classic Western through the eyes of a Chinese-American assassin on a quest to rescue his kidnapped wife and exact his revenge on her abductors. That sounds awesome. It sounds super summery to me, and I think that I'm just really interested in these adventure books for August right now because I will be embarking on my own adventure over July and August with this move and the changing of jobs and just all sorts of things. So while I am not enacting revenge on my wife's captors, I am going out and having to make a bunch of fun, wild decisions into the great unknown. Maybe not that great of an unknown, but it's still a great unknown. So I think I'm really drawn to adventure novels right now. Not an adventure novel. I have The Lion's Den by Catherine St. John. Embark on a trip of decadence where nothing is as it seems in this delectably suspenseful debut of friendship, romance, and betrayal on the Riviera. And that just sounds like a summer read. So I've got it on my shelf. I've pulled it off my shelf. Happily will read it. This one is the kind of book I love, and if I'd had room on my July TBR, I probably would have put it there, but I didn't, so I put it on August, and that is The Forgotten Letters of Esther Durant by Katie Noon. Noon. So many names today. I am butchering so many names. But this is a dual timeline historical fiction. It says 1951, in the shadow of the Second War, Esther Durant, a young mother, is committed to an isolated mental asylum by her husband. Run by a pioneering psychiatrist, the hospital is at first Esther's prison, but soon surprisingly becomes her refuge. And then in 2018, you've got free-spirited marine scientist Rachel Parker embarks on a research posting on the Isle of Scilly off the Cornish coast. When a violent storm forces her to take shelter on a far-flung island, she discovers a collection of hidden love letters. Captivated by their passion and tenderness, Rachel is determined to track down the intended recipient, but she has no idea of the far-reaching consequences her decision will bring. It goes on from there. There's the word meanwhile, starts the next sentence, and I don't want to know meanwhile. I want to uncover it in the book itself. So this is an impossible love with a heartbreaking secret, and I am definitely going to read that. Like, no possibility of not reading that. Then I have one of those romance novels that my friend sent me, and I have been working my way through them, even though I don't always show them on TBRs and things. But this one is definitely going to be on the plan. It feels very summery to me. Someday might come sooner than you think. The Inheritance by Rochelle Allers. This is the first book in a series called The Innkeepers, and it says, corporate attorney Hannah DuPont Lowell always pictured herself returning to New Orleans to retire, just not yet. But after her Manhattan company abruptly lays off its staff, there's no better place to figure out a next move than the porch of her plantation-style home. Nestled in the stunning Garden District, the DuPont house has been in Hannah's family for 2 centuries, with its 18 rooms and 2 guest houses. It's far more home than widowed Hannah needs. Still, it could make a wonderful inn, especially if she can convince her friends and former co-workers, Tanya, Jasmine, and Nydia, to join in the adventure. But in the meantime, Hannah has a high school reunion to attend. So I think what's really drawing me to this is that I recently watched Sweet Magnolias on Netflix. I watched all the seasons in a binge a few months ago, and this is giving me those vibes. big time. So I think that what I'm really looking for is Sweet Magnolias. I know that is also a book series, but it's not one that I want to get into. I just want the next season on Netflix. But I have this on my shelf and it's giving me those vibes. So I'm going to give it a go and we'll see how it turns out. Then I have this one, The Matchmaker of Perigord by Julia Stewart. This was a cover buy. I have no idea what this book is about. It's been on my shelf for about 1.5 years now, and let's see what it's about. I mean, I think if I didn't put it on a TBR last summer, I thought about putting it on a TBR last summer, and I didn't. So I know I've had it for at least a year. It says that it is a warm, funny novel about life and love in rural France. Well, doesn't that sound just like me? So Barbara Guillaume Ladoucette. So many names butchered in the making of this video. I apologize. Has always enjoyed great success in his tiny village in a southwestern France, catering to the tonsorial needs of Amours-sur-Belle's 33 inhabitants. But times have changed. His customers have grown older and balder. Suddenly, there is no longer a call for Guillaume's particular service, and he is forced to make a drastic career change. Since love and companionship are necessary commodities at any age, he becomes Amours-sur-Belle's official matchmaker and intends to unite hearts as ably as he once cut hair. Oh, hair! Why did I think he owned... I don't know. I thought he owned a cafe or a bakery or something. No wonder it said balder. Okay, he cuts hair, but not anymore. Now he matchmakes. But alas, Guillaume is not nearly as accomplished an agent of amour as the disastrous results of his initial attempts amply prove, especially when it comes to arranging his own romantic future. For the reader who adored chocolat, this is a delectable, utterly enchanting, and sinfully satisfying delight. I don't know. I have my reservations, but we'll see. It sounds like it could be cute. I mean, I own it. Let's try it. It sounds summery. Let's do it. This is one I'm really excited about. Definitely will read this one. This is When We Were Young and Brave, a novel. Their motto was to be prepared, but nothing could prepare them for war. It says China, 1941. Nancy Plummer and her young friends feel safe and protected, far from the war raging across Europe. As students at the esteemed China Inland Mission School, they study Latin and algebra, have daily prayers, and attend meetings of their beloved brownies and Girl Guides. War simply won't happen to them. But everything changes in an instant when Japan declares war against the United States and Britain following the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and soldiers march into Nancy's school, placing it under the control of Japanese forces. No longer protected by their status, the students and teachers now find themselves the enemy at the mercy of their captors. Under this frightening and bewildering new regime, Elspeth Kent, a teacher charged with the care of the girls, must confront her own fears, failings, and regrets as she struggles to keep the children safe. But worse is to come when the group is forced to leave the school and sent to a distant internment camp where even greater uncertainty and danger await. As they hope for liberation, Elspeth and Nancy become ever closer, relying on their courage, friendship, and each other, both of them determined to see themselves and everyone around them through to the very end, whatever that might be. Yeah, this just sounds amazing. Very excited to finally be getting to it. I have two more. One is St. Francis Society Wayward Pets, a novel. This just feels incredibly summery to me. It says she's cheerful, she's charming, and she's sitting on Maeve's front porch. No, not a long-lost friend, but an American bulldog named Happy, and she belongs to Maeve Stevens now. Whether Maeve wants her or not, Maeve's been laid off, cheated on, mugged, so when she learns that her birth mother has left her a house, a vintage VW Beetle, and a marauding cat, she packs up and moves, hoping to start fresh in the small town of Timber Creek, Washington. Her new life includes a reclusive but tempting author living next door and a set of ready-made friends at the St. Francis Society for Wayward Pets, where women knit colorful sweaters for the dogs and cats in their care. But there's also an undercurrent of something that doesn't sit right with Maeve. What's the secret that her mother has hidden? Sounds super fun. Love it. And finally, The Restoration of Celia Fairchild by Marie Bostwick. And this one says, Celia Fairchild, known as advice columnist Dear Calpurnia, has insight into everybody's problems except her own. Bruised by the end of a marriage she thought was her last chance to create a family, Celia throws herself into showing she's perfect adoptive mother material. but proving she can provide a stable home and income is tough, especially after losing her job. Selling the house she's inherited from her recently departed estranged aunt, Calpurnia may be Celia's only shot at motherhood. Upon returning to Charleston, Celia learns that Calpurnia had kept a secret. She'd become a hoarder, and the house is a wreck. Selling it will require a drastic, rapid makeover. The task of renovation seems overwhelming and risky, but with the help of new neighbors, old friends, and an unlikely sisterhood of strong, creative women who need her as much as she needs them, Celia knits together the truth about her family and herself. I think that I noticed a theme as I was telling you about these books. I truly just pulled them off the shelf based on kind of how long I've had them, but also based on their covers. And as I tell you about them, I'm sensing this theme of starting over, adventure, starting over, taking chances, and all of that fits so well with my current state of mind that I'm now really excited, and I'd like to read this particular TBR right now, which is good while you're watching this, since it is my August TBR, but not so good since I'm recording this in June. But that's okay. I'm going to pack these away and know that they are waiting for me, and I'm so excited to pull them out. And knowing now how excited I am about this particular stack, it just will hopefully keep me from putting too many of these other books that are on my shelf in that box of keep these books at the forefront so they're easily accessible. Hopefully it will limit that. I don't like limitations. I am very excited about all the things all the time now, and I'm going to be packing all this stuff up soon, and I would like to be moved but not go through the process. Anybody ever feel that? Like you just want the thing but not the things to get you to the thing. But knowing that I have these books and having just recorded these 2 TBRs and working my way through my June TBR, which I'm absolutely loving. Incentive, like each book is like a stepping stone toward getting to my destination. Apologies if in my wrap up, my August reads don't look anything like what I've just showed you. These are my intentions. I do think that I will be able to stick to this particular TBR. I feel a little less confident about sticking to my July TBR just because I think I'm going to end up padding that one a little bit with even more books. But this one feels really good. This one feels really well thought out, even though I really just went back across my shelves going, ooh, that looks summery, and that looks summery, and that looks adventurous. But together, I think they work really well. So I am excited about this. Also, although there are tons of books on here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them are manga or graphic novels. And so that, I think that counts as one. So in reality, I think I'm within my 25 book limit, which I've totally ignored all summer, but will go back to in September. So in September, 25 books max. I live now very close to a library, and that may skew things a little bit in the coming months. But I am ready to read. So actually, I'm ready to go pack and clean some stuff and sort through some stuff and add more stuff to an unhaul pile. I am going through my closet right now, and I am deciding, you know what? I'm going to be a dress person. I'm going to be a skirt person. I love them. I buy them, but I only feel like I can wear them when it's like a special time. Well, let's make every day special. So currently wearing a skirt, gonna go through my clothes, get rid of the stuff I don't need. Everything feels so healthy and adventurous and exciting and like a big change or restoration. So these books sound perfect. In the meantime, I'm going to go keep reading my June TBR and getting some stuff done, and I will see you in the future. Let's go read.